Hey, y'all. Welcome back to the Late Night Vision Show. I want to appreciate y'all for joining us again today. I know you could be doing a lot of different things, but we really appreciate you joining us this week on another edition of the Late Night Vision Show. But, hey, before we bring in our great co-host, Mr. Jason Robertson, I want to invite everybody. A lot of the topics and discussions that you hear on these weekly podcasts are topics and suggestions that are sent in through our website and our email address. So if you have any things that you'd like to hear discussed or talked about, anything in the world of night vision and thermal optics, please give us a line on the email. It's the late night vision show at gmail.com. We also would love to get some of your pictures of your coyote and hog hunts. You can send that to us through email, or you can send it to us through Instagram or Facebook. But we love sharing those pictures, and we will definitely put those up. But yes, the suggestions, Jason, are something that we love to get and we talk about a lot. But welcome to the show, Mr. Jason Robertson. Again, another week.
Another week, another episode. And yeah, Hans is right, folks. Listen, we're doing this show and we're doing it for y'all, the listeners. So we want it to be things that y'all want to hear about. And so a lot of these topics are things that we get requested. And this show that we're going to do today is one of those topics. This was suggested to us. And we're going to talk about an interesting topic that comes up a lot in this industry, and that is buying used night vision or thermal optics. Is that wise? Is it good? And so we're going to kind of hash some of that out in a little bit. But before we get there, I do want to bring up a couple other points of interest. One of those is, this is fairly big news. Pulsar released a very big, encompassing firmware update for the Pulsar Helions and the Pulsar Trails. And it's really supposedly, making some waves out there. Supposedly improves image quality, adds a few more, I think changes some button features. And Hans, I think you've done a couple of your optics. I have not done mine yet, to be honest with you. I've been busy getting ready for a vacation and haven't done mine. But so tell us kind of what are some of the features and things that it's changing.
Yeah, so Pulsar is promoting the fact that this firmware update is going to increase the picture image as well as the video image once you download it, take it off, and put it on your computer or on your cell phone. So I've updated a Helion and a Trail, and right off the top, immediately, what it seems like it does is it changes one of the buttons to a kind of a quick action button or whatever. You one of the buttons on top now, when you do a quick press of it, it'll change it through the different identification modes, whether it's identification, forest, rocks. It'll change that quickly. Now, when it does that, it will go to the standard settings of brightness and contrast, whatever those recommendations are.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Yeah, so if you have it set, like I keep mine pretty bright because that's the way I like it, and the video looks better if it's a little bit brighter. So I usually keep my brightness on about 15. I keep my contrast on 12. But if you change that quick set and you push that button and it goes to rock mode or identification or forest, it will change all your brightness and contrast to the recommendation of what it is. So cool. I just did the update. I have not looked at the video. I have not downloaded the video from any scopes after filming with it. So I don't know about the video quality being any better. But really what it looks like to me, it changes your brightness and contrast.
Yeah.
It does look a tad bit better.
I haven't done it yet. And folks, by the time you're listening to this update's already been out a few weeks. I don't want to act like it's breaking news because it's not. It has been out a few weeks. One of the reasons that I haven't done it, besides the fact I've been busy, is I intentionally wanted to take some video with my Helion, with my Trail, and then do the update, and then go right back outside right then, 5 minutes later and do it. Hans, on the other hand, he's like a kid that's got a quarter in his pocket and he's standing in front of the gumball machine.
Well,
he's not going to contemplate. I'm thinking this out, and Hans is like, give me the gumball.
Everybody was posting about it on social media, talking about how great it was. So the first thing I did, I ran home and downloaded it real quick, and wasn't even thinking about testing it. That's what you're for. But when you do test it, Jason, what you need to do is,
oh boy, he's not going to do it, but he's going to give me a list of things to do.
We're going to talk like we're not even on air right now. But what you need to do is you need to set whatever you keep your brightness and contrast on, and the mode that you're in. I think you stay like me; you're in the force mode all the time. So whatever your brightness and contrast is on it right now, video with it, and then download the update. Put it on the mode that you are on, and adjust your brightness and contrast to what you normally keep it on under the old update or under the old, and then video. And that's how you need to get a fair comparison of if it's actually better or if it's not just because it's changing your brightness and contrast. That way you're comparing apples to apples.
Sure. Well,
that's what I'm telling you to do. That's what I did not do because I was I was too excited about coming home and doing it.
That doesn't surprise me. So no, I'm going to do it. But like I said, I haven't had time to do that, so I'm intentionally been holding off. But I'll get that done and report back.
So I'm sure everybody else ran home. Hey, but everybody ran home like I did and did that update. But I want to mention to everybody and all the listeners out there, we've got some exciting news. Outdoor Legacy is now selling the Kofi Yeager Reaper grips, and I've had a chance to take one of those out recently. I'll share my experience with it, but why don't you give them a little details on those Kofi Yeagers? If you didn't know how to pronounce it, I had to spell it out on my show write-up. I had to do it the way you actually pronunciate it, so it's spelled nothing like it is. I've got it spelled Kofie space Yager so I can remember how to say it.
It's not a good name. It's Kofi Yeager, which is how you say it. And if you want to Google it, just look up the Reaper grip, like the Grim Reaper grip, because you're never, however you think Kofi Yeager is spelled, unless you're German, you don't know. You'll never figure it out. I'll give you 100 tries. You're not going to figure it out unless you have, some kind of German influence. But anyway, so these are very popular. They've been around a long time, and they are one of the original grips. They are high end. They're very nice. And they will hold your rifle. And, again, you got to use it on a good tripod. The slick tripods are what, come with these as a kit, and that's what we're selling. Now, let me give you a little quick backstory. So I'm afraid I'm going to get way off in the weeds on this, so I'm going to try to keep it simple. But essentially, Kofi Yeager was recently bought out, and they were purchased by Cellmark. Cellmark is a Texas company, and Kofi Yeager was a Texas company, by the way. So Cellmark bought them. Cellmark is the owner of Sightmark, Firefield, the U.S. distributor for Pulsar, and then a lot of other brands and things that they own or distribute. So essentially, the people, what we consider Pulsar USA and the owners of Sightmark, that's who bought Kofi Yeager. So now they're the ones putting these mounts out. And so we'd looked at them before and looked at, becoming a dealer for them. And we just didn't do it, and we just got busy. Hans and I have talked about it several times. And so now that, I'm getting it all from one vendor, it's just easy. So we went ahead and did it. And we're going to be doing some reviews of them. I'm gonna go ahead and say, which I know we'll probably talk about more once we get to those reviews in the future. But they're heavy. They're not for everybody, but they will lock down your rifle, and they will hold that thing rock steady. And I know we've got a lot of listeners of the show that use them. There's a lot of guys that ask in the past on the background image of our YouTube channel and of the background when, Hans and I, if you're watching our YouTube videos, he had a picture of a tripod with his rifle kind of held in there. That was a different mount. And so now,
not very stable, but
not very stable. And people were always asking us, what mount is that? What do y'all use? And so we
I
wanted to
pretty
have
much held
something
my
to
breath
offer.
whenever I kept that thing mounted in that.
Yeah, we were that was it was yeah. Your trigger sticks were we love the trigger sticks, love
Yeah.
them, but they're
Yeah.
not made to hold that kind of weight.
Right.
And so anyway, we're going to be doing some reviews on them. Hans has already been using his out in the field. I'm actually and for those that don't know much about them. Again, it's like a saddle. It's a U-shaped thing that you put your rifle in. You lock it down. Your rifle it's held by the forearm, and then you put this on top of a really nice professional grade tripod, and it's rock steady. I'm actually getting a set of those in carbon fiber. They're lightweight. They're going to weigh a lot less. They're more expensive. But they're going to be shipping in from Kofi Yeager, waiting to get that. They were out of stock, I think, when I originally ordered. So I'm going to get those. So we'll be talking about those as well and give you all the different options. And one more thing, again, when we do the review, we'll get deeper into it. But they have another one that's called a Reaper rail, and you actually mount it on the bottom of your forearm with a rail, with like a Picatinny rail type attachment, so you don't have to grip it in there. But anyway, there's going to be a lot to talk about.
That's our number one salesman for Outdoor Legacy, Mr. Jason Robertson, leading into the product description with the negatives right there.
Hey, let me tell you, people know
Number one salesman.
Owner / number one.
Yeah.
They know if they deal with me, I'm probably going to talk them out of something and talk them into something less expensive. Today, I'll just tell this quick story and I'll be done. But I had this guy who called, super nice guy. He'd actually gone hunting with one of my customers, or I think maybe he had taken one of my customers hunting, whatever it is. And the guy had a Thermion XM38. And so he called and he's like, man, he said, that is an awesome scope. I think this guy does some outfitting. And he said, man, that is great. He said, I think I want one. He said, but I had somebody tell me I might look at the higher magnification. And he was telling me what he was doing. And I knew it wasn't going to work for him because he was shooting way too close. He wanted field of view. It really was not a fit. And he said, how long would it take for you to get me one of those XM50s? And I said, man, I've got 4 or 5 of them sitting on the shelf. And I said, but you don't want that. You want this XM38 that you looked at. And I explained to him why. We talked about it. We got done. And he goes, okay, I got a question. I was like, what's that? And he goes, why are you trying to sell me something that's $500 less that you don't have, and you got 5 of these others? I said, because it's not what you need. He was blown away. He couldn't focus on anything else the rest of the conversation. He was like, I just don't even know what to say about that. And I was like, it's what you need. You don't need that scope. I mean, it's good for some people, but not what you're wanting to do. So anyway.
So the Kofi Yeager grips, I have taken it out, and I took it out. I just got it, so haven't had a chance to do a lot of hunting with it. But I took it out to do some hog calling, and I tell you what, if you're a coyote hunter, or if you are you make a lot of stands for hog calling or coyote calling, it worked great. I've got a Diamondback AR-10 308 pistol, and it's a 13.5-inch barrel. It's not a very long rifle. The center of balance on it's a lot different because it's so short, and it's basically right underneath the trigger and magazine, so it's hard to lock it into some rest and feel like it's secure. But I locked it into that Kofi Yeager grip, and man, it was rock solid. And it was easy to swivel around and up and down. I didn't have to hold the whole weight of the rifle while I was scanning. And I felt secure, and man, I loved it. So for sitting still and calling and that kind of stuff, it worked great. So we'll be taking them out. We'll be doing reviews on them. Like Jason said, it's a little bit heavy. You're going to get some leg muscles and arm muscles going with it. But if you want something that's going to keep that rifle locked in and not feel worried about it and hold your breath when you got it locked in there and walk away, then I think it'll be pretty good. So go check out OutdoorLegacyGear.com. You can go check out those new Kofi Yeager grips. And don't try to Google how to spell it. You'll never find it.
Just look for Reaper grip.
Just Reaper grip. So
Reaper.
All right, we're going to get into our main topic now, and we get calls all the time, Jason, of people that are looking for thermal. And one of the common questions that come up that are, hey, I've got a buddy that's selling a scope, and it's a year old. Do you think it's a good deal, or what do you think about buying a used thermal? Is there any concerns? And that's something that comes up a lot. There's a big market for used night vision and thermal scopes out there. I'm sure that there's forums on social media for it and all kinds of stuff. But really, we wanted to kind of discuss it today because there probably are some advantages as well as some disadvantages. We're going to talk a little bit about those today and what you kind of need to look for and be aware of, all in the same as trying to get the best deal that you possibly can.
Sure. Well, I can jump in. I can make it short and sweet, which I normally can't. I am a thermal dealer. You should only buy new and buy from Outdoor Legacy. The end.
Absolutely.
All right, cut the show. No. Listen, I have had people say, well, you're against people buying used thermal because you're a dealer and you want them to buy new. That makes no sense because I'm this is a long game. So I'm looking down the road at this. And if you have a scope today, and let's say it's used, and let's say it's worth $3,000, and you want to buy another scope, and it's $5,000, and you say, "Well, I don't need two, and I need these funds, so how am I going to get $5,000? I've got to sell my used scope." New car dealers don't hate used cars. I mean, right. It's just I don't. I understand it as part of it, and to sell a new scope. If you already own one, if you don't keep it, you got to get rid of it. I get it. That's the way it goes. The other question that people ask is, and I'm kind of just maybe going on a rabbit trail for a second, but do you take trade-ins? Do you sell used scopes? And that answer is yes, no, maybe sometimes, and it just depends.
Clear as mud.
Yeah, it's a case by case basis.
Yeah.
Tell me what you got.
Don't try to sell us your Gen 1,
No.
And
I'll tell this. Hey, I'll tell you this too, straight up. No different than if you go to the car dealer or you go to trade in your side by side or whatever it is. The dealer has to make money on it. Yeah. So I tell people, here's what I can. Well, I don't even like to tell you what I'll give you. I'll say, what will you take for it? And I go, yay or nay. Yeah. But I got to make money on it. I mean, that's just the fact of it. I got to take a risk on it. I got to make money, and you can probably get more. You can get more if you try very hard going selling it on your own. No doubt. So I mean,
it's just like a dealership or a car. You're always going to sell. You're always going to make a little bit more if you sell it as an individual to another individual.
And the difference is when you're trading in, since we are not supposed to negotiate the price of thermal scopes when they're new, we have prices set by manufacturers. Since we're not supposed to negotiate those, we don't have that ability that car dealers do to hide what you're really getting. You know how that game is played. Oh, I got to have this for my trade-in. Fine. But then they're going to, not take off that on the top end. We can't play that game as well. So it's kind of out in the open of what we're going to give you for it. And I'll tell people. I told a guy the other day, I said, I'll give you this much for it, and this is what I think you can sell it for, and that's what I'm going to try to sell it for. Mm-hmm. And he goes, okay, I'll trade it in. I don't want to mess with it for $400. It's like, I just don't want to mess with it. I'm like, fine. So each way. Now, getting back to buying used, should you do it? Is it smart? What are the risks? What are the advantages? And I think we all know what the advantages are. I mean, you can save money. So let's talk about the money aspect. And this is my opinion. And Hans, you can chime in here. Mm-hmm. I know you see some of this stuff out there used as well, but I believe, and I think this will change in the future. This is the late summer of 2019, so this may be totally different in a year. But the used thermal scope market, and specifically thermal, more than a digital night vision, the used market, I believe the scopes sell for too much. I see guys. Not every time, but a lot of times. And again, in the summer, things are slower, so I have seen a little better deals out there. But I see guys who maybe just don't quite have the money that they need to buy that new one, or maybe it's a supply and demand issue. They want this scope, and it's the dealers don't have it, and it's back ordered, and they don't want to wait. And I see some guys buy used stuff for way too much money. There's no other consumer electronic that you would pay that much used.
Yeah.
Go ahead. I know you're going to say something.
It does. Yeah, it does seem like thermal scopes do hold their value pretty well. But let me ask you this, because this is one of the questions I was going to ask you, because it's a question that we get all the time. Is a person is trying to sell their thermal scope, and they call in and they want to know what the value. There's no, it's not like Kelley Blue Book where you go look up the value of your car and you know what to sell it for or what it's valued at. A lot of people, when they're trying to sell a thermal or they're trying to buy a thermal, they just don't know what these things are worth.
Yeah.
Depending on how long they've been used or how hard they've been used. But is there any way to get a good judge as far as what something's worth?
That's a great question, and the answer is no. I mean, you can go out, you can search, Facebook, you can search some of the classified ads, the forums, and look and see what people are asking, and there seems to be a pattern there. Again, in the summer months, it does get a little bit cheaper because it's a slower time for people buying night vision and thermal and hunting. It'll go back up in the cool months of the year, seems like. Yeah. But I don't know. Okay, let's go back to I can answer one side of that better. What should you pay for it? I can't tell you what it's worth if you're selling it necessarily. I can tell you what you should pay for it. And my answer to that is you should pay for it whatever you would pay for a used laptop or a used iPad or a used TV or any other electronic item, because that's what it is. And it's a more expensive electronic item. And it's an item that if it breaks, there is likely no way to get it fixed, depending on the manufacturer. A lot of these scopes do not have, again, out of warranty options for repair, unless it's just, a lens cap or something easy. But let
me ask you this. So when you say don't spend more than you'd spend for a used laptop, you're fixing to try to pin me down. Well, you can find some really inexpensive laptops. But when you say that, to give some clarification, are you talking about
let me say this:
80% of the original value of the original price, with if it's under a year old, or how does?
I know it's.
There's no what we're trying to get at. There's no clear answer.
There is no clear answer. But let me say this: I don't know anybody that would take a let's just say it's an iPhone, and if you went and or an Android, whatever. I use an iPhone. So if you go buy one of those outright, they're super expensive. I mean, I think some of the new models are almost $1,000. I don't know. I haven't bought one in a long time. Mm-hmm. There's no way that you would go out and give somebody $800 for one of those used. If you do, it's crazy. I mean, that wouldn't mean, you're not getting a warranty. Apple is not going to warranty that thing. It would make no sense for you to save, that $200, which is 20%. And you just, I don't know, maybe you would do it. I would never do it. I'm saving $200, 20%, and I'm taking a chance on getting home and in a week that thing, pooping out on me, and I've got a paperweight. Same thing with the thermal. I mean, again, now the guys that are out there selling you scopes right now are going, you are the worst guy in the world. Mm-hmm. And I'm just looking at it from a consumer standpoint. I buy lots of things used. I buy electronics used. I bought my iPad that I'm recording on used. I mean, I do. I buy things used. I just bought a digital camera. My wife and I needed a new one for our family vacation. I bought one that was new in the box. The whole open box deal. Never been used. Bought it on eBay. And here's the deal. I know that it has no warranty. And we'll talk about warranty in a minute. We're going to get there. But I bought that thing at about almost 50% off of what the brand new one cost. And I look at that and I say, you know what? It's brand new. Obviously, I'm going to get it. I mean, just like if you bought a scope from somebody, you get it, you get to turn it on, you get to look at it. I mean, if it's dead on arrival and the guy lied to you, that's a scam. That's a different deal. I'm not talking about getting scammed. I'm talking about something dying after you've got it.
Yeah, but here's the difference with thermal scopes. If you have a dealer that has an open box, they would never sell it for 50% off.
Well, okay. Now we're going back to a whole nother deal. That's a warranty issue. Yeah. Okay, so So that I didn't buy from a dealer.
Yeah.
I bought this from an individual on eBay. I'm making that point. I bought that scope at 40 to 50% off of retail. Open box, no warranty, from a lady in New York State. Okay. And I was willing to take that risk. Not that she's going to send me a box of rocks. I'm not talking about that risk. I'm talking about the risk of I take it and I use it 2 weeks and it dies on me. And I go, gosh, their Canon is not going to warranty this thing. So you have to decide what that is. And for you, maybe it is 20%. Maybe it's saving $200. Maybe it's saving $2,000. I don't know, whatever your number is, but I just think from all the used electronics that I see, again, from TVs, computers, smartphones, tablets, any consumer electronics, I don't see anything that holds its value anywhere near what thermal seems to. Now, you know where I'm going next. I am going to the warranty issue.
Right.
So here's where things get dicey. Warranty is not what it appears when you're buying this used stuff. You need to buy this just like you're buying a used iPad or a used camera off of eBay or anything else. I do not care if someone tells you, I never registered it, I bought it and it's got 2 years and 2 months of warranty left or whatever. If you will go to the major manufacturers of thermal and night vision and you will read the warranty information, it reads just like it does for any other consumer electronic. The warranty is for the original purchaser only who purchased that from an authorized retailer or other, authorized channels, meaning, they bought it from, a distributor or whatever. Somebody that has not just Jim Bob, but somebody that is a dealer or who's basically acting as a dealer. There's a lot of
dealers, and the dealers have records of who they sold those units to.
That's exactly right.
They have a way to go back and find that information.
That's exactly right.
Even though it's not registered, the original owner didn't register it, the manufacturer can still find out either you bought that from a dealer or did not.
Yeah, and what they're going to require is an original receipt. Now, can you have some sort of receipt that doesn't have anybody's name on it and, you sneak that by? Probably. If you want to get sneaky with it and cheat the system, there are ways to do that. But generally speaking, that guy's going to have a receipt. And if he has the receipt, the manufacturer still wants to know that you bought that scope. And yes, I know we can get down to it and you can say, well, there's no name here. I can cut his name out. I know guys that have done it and they've gotten by. You got to know though, you're taking that risk. And if you don't have that original receipt and you don't have one that's generic without his name on it, and hey, even if it's real, you ought to hear the horror stories I've heard over the years. but anyway, you're taking that risk. And then we get into this. Some of the manufacturers, and I don't want to name these names because I just don't think it'd be wise. There are some manufacturers that we deal with that have great customer service, and they have been known to be lenient. Mm-hmm. And to a guy go, man, I just bought this thing used, and this guy told me he's only had it for, whatever. And they can look and they can say, we've only been making this scope for 16 months. It's got a 3-year warranty. It's impossible that it's, So they go, okay, and they do somebody a favor, Right. And there is some of that, and that's good. I love to hear those stories, but you can't buy with that, in your mind as a guarantee. You can buy with that, hey, if this happens, maybe they'll do me a favor, but you can't be mad when they don't. The warranty, it clearly states it. I went just to reread before this show, doing my show prep. I read FLIR. I read Pulsar. You just go read what it says. It says the same thing anything else does. It's for the original the original purchaser only. and you will be required to show that proof of purchase. And so all the time I see it all over the classifieds and Facebook groups of, 2 years of warranty left, or that is, it does not work that way.
Right.
Again, you may cheat the system, you may lie, you may, fabricate something and get by, but that's dishonest, and that's not the way it works. And I'm not trying to, be mean there, but it is dishonesty. It's not the way it works. If you tell the manufacturer, hey, I bought it used, can you help me out? And they do, sure. That's awesome. Great customer service for them, but you can't blame them if they don't. Now,
well, it would be my luck. I'd buy one used and have a warranty issue, and I would be the first person that was ever questioned about a receipt.
I know. That'd be my luck.
That'd be my luck, exactly.
So now I've said the negative things here, but the positive is what I want to say is that, yeah, I think that there's some great thermal scopes out there that have very, very little use. I mean, I've seen stuff that's like new in the box, and you can get a deal on it. And I believe that a lot of those are worth the risk. I think
maybe we can mention too, Pulsar's, at least the trails have shot counters on them.
Yep.
So
that's
you
right.
can know how many times it's been shot, which is probably a good point.
They do. You can go down. That's a great point. You can go down into the settings and the firmware there, and you can look, and it's got a shot counter. And it may not be 100% accurate, but it's going to be really, really close, if not perfectly accurate. Give you some idea.
The guy that says, "Oh, I only shot it, 50 times," and you get it, or he sends you a picture of that screen and it's got 1,000 rounds on it. It's a good way
I've had
to
some
kind
issues of that. I never shot it once. Looks like you shot it about 240 times, but that's just, I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a great point. And I think there's a lot of great deals out there. You just got to look for them. And I would just buy knowing that, hey, whatever price I pay, I need to be willing to gamble if I have a problem that there's no warranty. Maybe I'm going to get lucky. Maybe they're going to take care of me. Maybe I'm going to, but I would buy under the assumption of it's not going to have a warranty. And what is this worth, and what am I willing to risk to do it? Yeah. And if you're selling, like anything else, try to get all you can get. And I think you're going to know what the market is, what it will bear. I think it's not going to take you long. If you put it out there and nobody bites on it at all, it's too much. I mean, it's not, it's like selling anything else. And, but I realize there's not a blue book. But you can get an idea. It doesn't take you long to do some searches and look around and just see what stuff is selling for and try. And if nobody bites, or everybody is offering you some lower amount, you may realize that's where you got to go if you want to get a quick sale on it. But my advice too, if for selling it, here's my tips to you. Keep every single thing. Keep the original box. Keep every little piece of plastic. Keep anything that comes with it. Just stick it all back in there. Throw it in the closet. If you ever want to sell it, you're going to get more for it with all those things versus the guy who's all he's got is the scope laying on his counter. And it's like nothing else. He's just, that's the way anything is. You got the box,
It's something about seeing a picture when somebody sends you a picture and it's in the box or has the box. It just makes it seem like it's in better shape or newer.
And it also makes it feel like this guy cares enough to keep the box. Yeah. So he's probably going to take care of his stuff. And I don't know. Just my advice if you're going to sell one. And again, I'm not hating on used thermal, because it is a way that this is the other reason that I like it. It allows people who maybe can't afford, look, let's just even take something like an entry-level scope, say, a $1,900 Pulsar Core RXQ30V. That's still out of a lot of guys' price range today. But maybe they can buy one and they can snag one. I saw one today for $1,200. Man, that's it. I think that's fair. I think that's a fair price. Scope was barely used, box, everything. That can allow somebody to get into this game, get into night hunting, And, maybe down the road they save up and they want to trade that in and roll into another scope, and I might get a shot at them then. If not, still no problem. It's more people hunting hogs, hunting coyotes, and we're happy with that. So,
So
I know I sound negative, but I
no.
just see a lot. Listen, let me real quick, and I know we need to, I'm rambling here, but I haven't mentioned this. I'm coming at it from this angle. I get the phone calls. I've had the phone calls of the guy nearly in tears going, I just paid $3,800 for this scope. I've had it for 6 months. It doesn't work. Can you forge a receipt for me so I can send this back? No. No.
Yeah.
Can I pay you $500? I had a guy offer me $500 to make him a fake receipt to send this scope in because he's like, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
This thing, and he said the guy didn't. It just died, and I've had it, and I've been using it, and I don't know. I'm going to be out this money. I have no idea what to do, and I'm like, man. I'm sorry, but I'm not.
Yeah.
That's dishonest.
Well,
I can't do that, and so it is what it is.
So to recap, let's run down those advantages and disadvantages again.
Okay.
So the advantage, obviously, being the price factor. You can get a great deal on a scope.
Yep.
What else is other than price?
Well, I think price is the biggest
the
thing.
main
Sometimes you might be able to get one when there's a back order or a wait.
Yeah.
Somebody could be, but that scope's probably going to be worth more because supply and
Right.
demand. But yeah,
Yep.
you may be able to pick one up when there's a big wait, with all the dealers.
Well, and if from a selling standpoint, if you're trying to sell a used thermal, gives you a chance to maybe get a decent amount of money for it and upgrade
Yep.
into a new scope. So it allows you
Yeah.
to kind of take a step up. And
Absolutely.
I've got a buddy of mine. He's basically, when it comes to thermal, he's a horse trader, and he is wheeling and dealing scopes all the time. I talk to him. He's always either trying to sell a scope or trying to buy a scope used, and he's stepped up every time. He's done well. So
Well, that's good. Hey, let me throw out one more quick thing that I will mention. You mentioned a while ago, open box and a dealer. That is the caveat to all this. I'm not going to get real deep into this, but there are a lot of times that a dealer, an authorized dealer, can sell a used scope, an open box, a demo, any of these things with a full or a partial warranty. Depends on the manufacturer, depends on the situation, but there is a lot of times that we can sell open box scopes, demo scopes with a full warranty. They are our scopes. They're brand new. We're brand new. We've never sold them. They've been in our possession. We took them out, looked at them in the field. We can sell those with a full warranty. Again, depending on the manufacturer and the situation. There are even times, it's got to be pretty specific situations where I can get in a used scope and offer a limited warranty on that. I've got some clarification in writing from some of the manufacturers that they say, if it was a scope you sold and you're getting it back, I've got some leeway there. Or if the guy has the original receipt from his dealer and he gives that to me. What I was saying is that if I've got that, if he trades it in and he's got his original receipt, set a 3-year warranty, he'd had it 2 years from his original purchase, maybe I can extend that. So a lot of dealers have some leeway there. But again, that's because we're authorized dealers, not just the average guy on the street. So a little bit different there.
Yep.
So anyway,
all right.
that is
so
it.
we recapped the advantages. Now the disadvantages. Obviously, there's a possibility that you could be paying something, paying money for something that's not good quality or defective, or could, just peter out on you in 6 months. Mm-hmm. Obviously the fact that the warranty is not transferable from individual to individual, which is a big factor. Especially when I'm looking to spend several $1,000s at a time. And so it's really, as far as, like Jason said, there are some great deals out there. There's good opportunities. Like I said, we get people that call all the time wanting us to know if we have any used thermals, anybody wanting to sell used thermals or buy thermals. So there is a good market out there. And I have found that thermals do hold their value pretty well. So if you're a seller, that's great news. But if you're a buyer, there's still some great deals out there, because just like everything else, there are people out there that need to get rid of that thermal as soon as possible for whatever reason, whether they're just needing the cash or they want to upgrade to something else.
Yeah, there is. There's there's a couple people recently that have asked me about trading in, and I've said, yeah, here's what I would ask for it if I was you. Here's what I can give you. I'm just shooting you straight. And they hum-hawed around and said, well, I think I'll buy it and sell it on my own. Hey, no problem. Doesn't hurt my feelings. It's actually better for me. I don't have to mess with it. And I saw these guys on Facebook, two of them, and they actually sold it for less than what I told them I'd give them on trade-in. And
no.
I was like, oh, man, I kind of feel bad now, those guys. But I think what it was is they just want to sell it. They want to get rid of it. And I understand that. And, hey, somebody got a deal, too. I'll tell you that. Somebody got a deal. So look around for them. I buy used all the time and a lot of different things. I'm not against it. Just make sure you do your homework and make sure you get you a deal. And if you're selling, try to get all you can get. Two different hats if you're a seller or a buyer. But folks, listen, I hope you've enjoyed this. Maybe learned a little bit of something. If you have any questions about night vision thermal before you buy, you can always feel free to give me a call. 877-350-1818. You can always find me at outdoorlegacygear.com. We would love to do business with you and love to help you make decisions before you buy on different scopes, night vision, thermal, whatever it may be, handheld or rifle scopes. And if you're looking for Hans, the better half of this show, you can find him on his, on his wildly popular YouTube channel, Hans ETX, HANSETX. You can find him there, and on Instagram.
I feel like you're patronizing me right
a little
now.
bit, just a little bit. You can also find him on Instagram. And I can't say anything else without laughing now because I am patronizing just a little bit. So,
well, folks, we thank you all again for joining us. Keep those topics and suggestions coming in. The Late Night Vision Show at gmail.com. Also, you can send us your pictures on Instagram or Facebook again, or you can just email those to us. Thank y'all for joining us this week. Jason's leaving out pretty soon to go on vacation, but we are still dropping episodes. I'm not letting them off. We're still going to be putting out shows. We put out a brand new show every Thursday. So tune in again next Thursday. You'll get to hear another episode of Late Night Vision Show. Thank y'all. Keep making them bacon pancakes and stay safe in the fields.